What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host, Chad Medved. Nice to meet you. Welcome if you are a new guest. Welcome back if you are an existing guest. First things first, this weekend was filled with, a lot of awesome stuff. Grist House released 3 cans on Saturday, and one of them being Turner's limited edition chocolate dip strawberry dessert stout. So 2 o'clock, they open their gates. I roll up there, and there is a line that is probably 2 blocks long. And that's not an exaggeration at all. There was not a place to park. There was an insane amount of people there. And they were releasing 3 cans, but I am almost positive that all the Turner's chocolate dip strawberry stout is sold out. And if it's not, there's probably literally 1 can left. So I don't know, call down Grist House, see if they got some left. And, if they do, grab it because it's really, really good. I like it definitely more than the cookies and cream one. Just from tasting both of them, I think I like this one a little bit more. But it was a crazy weekend. There was an insane amount of people. I was super surprised because I've been to Grist House maybe 2 or 3 times, and every time I've been there, the last time I was there was for the Turner release, and that had a little bit of a line, and it was cold and rainy. So I was like, and it turned out Saturday was a beautiful day, so I was like, it's about to be crazy. So I got down there, and yeah, you couldn't even get in that place. But I think it went well. They got rid of, I would say, 95% of it immediately. Again, I'm not 100% sure if it's sold out or not. If it is not currently, I'm recording this. What's today? Today's Wednesday. It's Wednesday morning. If I had to guess, I say there's an 80% chance that it's sold out. If it's not, go down and grab a case if you can and enjoy that. And shout out to Turner's for sponsoring the podcast and, getting behind your boy. Another great thing that happened this week in Millvale, Streets on Carson. If you do not know about them yet, you just been sleeping through these intros because I talk about them enough, that's for sure. But Streets is, a fantastic restaurant in south side of Pittsburgh. Owner Matt Christie has recently opened a food truck. And this weekend on Saturday was the premiere. They were at Strange Roots Brewing in Millvale, and they had their debut of Streets on the Fly. Streets on the Fly is a food truck that is a big blue machine covered in French fries and cheesesteaks. So keep your eye out for it. Big blue truck with a big-ass cheesesteak and a mountain of fries on it. It was great this weekend. They pulled up at Strange Brewing or Strange Roots Brewing, and I probably got there maybe like an hour after they got there. Line out the door. They were just killing it, hustling steaks and wings. They have some. So if you have been to Streets, they have a flavor on their menu. It's their regular wing flavor. If some people picked up on here, they have a special off the menu flavor called 24 karat. That's usually my go-to. So on this truck, I think they got 3 more new flavors. And I had the Hot Boys and the Dim Sum, and they were both great. And I also had a Yinzer Wit, which is a cheesesteak with lettuce, tomato, and it was seriously so good. I was just pumped to see my dude being killing it on his truck. He's been working on it for a minute, and I'm just happy to see it come to fruition. It's cool to see. So definitely check out Streets on Carson, check out Turner's Premium Tea, and just support the sponsors. Go mingle with them, tell them the podcast sent you, and that's all you could do for me. And one more thing you could do for me is scroll up on this app and hit subscribe. Hit subscribe, 5-star rate and review. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, just don't say it. But shout me out if you're a fan of the podcast. Anyway, so traveling for work, I'm eating continental breakfast downstairs, which was definitely one of the better ones that I've ever had. They had pressed juice, they had smoothies, they had a chocolate waffle maker. It was fire. But I'm sitting there eating, and I look in front of me, and I'm obligated to see a TV with the news on it. And I'm just like, Jesus. I don't usually watch the news. I'm usually not a news guy. But they were talking about the coronavirus. And if you haven't heard about the coronavirus by now, then you're already doomed. But it's kind of concerning, I feel. Don't you? It's like, it's bizarre how it's like spreading, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of concerning. But the CDC was talking about, like, prepare for it, like, stay indoors, don't go into public places. And I'm just like, Jesus, like, this is, all I automatically think about the worst thing. I think about 28 days later. And, I know that that's messed up. If you haven't seen 28 Days Later, it's a terrifying movie. It's a zombie movie, but these are the zombies that no one likes. These are the zombies that run faster than you. The only people that would ever get past these zombies are like Cameron Hanes, Joe Rogan, and David Goggins. Like, I don't know. It's terrifying to think about, but let's hope that nothing crazy happens. Maybe I'll go to REI and get a couple extra bottles of water, a couple freeze-dried meals. Never mind, I'm just kidding. But this week, I have a great guest. His name is Sean Flynn, and he is a business owner. He owns Monarch Studios in Verona, PA, which is a vintage shop. So Sean started this vintage shop. I think he said he's been there for a year now. But it's like the most unique one that I think I've ever been in. There's a lot of cool streetwear stores out there, and like a lot of cool like clothing stores. Like there's one in Boston. It's called Bodega, and you go in there and it looks like a little like convenience store, like all dusty and dirty. And you go up to the register, and the person behind the register pushes a button, and the vending machine slides over, and you go into this like crazy boutique like store, streetwear store, and it's super dope. But in Verona, so like Verona is like a little town. It's like, something you would see in like, that movie Blast from the Past, like it's a little street that's like lined with little shops. It's a super cute place. But Monarch, you go back in between these two buildings, and you go through this labyrinth of just like design and like, lefts and rights. And then you get into this building, which is attached to a bigger building. This is like, this used to be a bank. So you go into this vintage store, and there's like 4 different areas. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 5 different areas in this building, and you go through there, and each of these rooms have like a different theme. There's like a Pittsburgh theme. There's he has all the Grail pieces in the safe, and it's a huge like stand-up walk-in safe, and it's crazy. It's a super cool experience. But me and Sean sit down and we talk about how, like, what led him into the clothing world, and like how he kind of fell in love with clothes, and how he kind of fell in love with vintage, and what his dreams are of and what they were, and how he kind of got to where he is today. And it was a really good conversation. I knew of him. I didn't know too much about him, but I enjoyed talking to him. So without further ado, episode 107 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Sean Flynn of Monarch Studios.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Do you want me to blow out that candle? Is that crackling?
No.
Pick up? Okay.
No, that's fine.
Gotta set the mood, right?
Yeah, you gotta set. I always have a candle burning because it's more like of a homey vibe. You know, I usually will record all these in my living room because, like, you know, it's more of a. I like to control the environment, but like whenever people have like a brick and mortar or something like that, I like to go to it. Like I went to that toll gate, and just like being in there and like, you know, seeing all the things around me like spark a lot of like inspiration and shit.
Oh yeah, man.
And like that kind of like feeds the spontaneous questions because I don't have like notebooks or anything whenever I interview people. I basically just I set my sight on someone and I just think about them for like the, you know, couple days before I'm interviewing. I'll go through their social media a lot and I'll kind of find, you know, what sparks my interest through there. And that kind of just like starts to build a cue in my head of like what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And I just leave it up to like, you know, however shit's going to go because like some people you have no idea if they're going to be good speakers or bad speakers or if it's going to go smoothly. And I've interviewed all kinds of people now. I mean, like all different types of like personalities. So this is my way of like being able to like kind of, this is like a safe zone. Like whenever if I have notebooks in there, like my first couple that I did, I had questions written down and like you could hear that it was just like me asking a question, me waiting for an answer, me asking another question. But in time, it got smoother.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I feel like on top of that, when you're in someone else's element or you're experiencing it for the first time, it's just like if you're writing a report on, not a report, but say you're doing a write-up on a shop or, you know, whatever it may be. You want to go and actually experience it. If you're just doing a write-up based off of what you see online, you come in here today and you really see what it's about. So many people message me about a T-shirt and they'll say, oh, do you have anything else similar to that? When they come to the shop, they realize, wow, I've 1,000 different products that they have never seen online. Yeah, and it's just a different perspective.
That's a good way to think about it.
Are we recording right now, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I just run it. I never do like we're live now because it's just like people get nervous and just goes.
And that way you can kind of cut things and change things around. Okay.
I just trim out anything in the beginning. I like having the rolling starts because like, you know, if we're talking about something and I'm just like, all right, well, we're going to start, it like kind of changes like, you know, the vibe of everything. But I like to just roll through it. I never really like introduce people, like say your name and everything because like people are going to see it on the cover art. They obviously know it's going to be there. But this place though, so what's the address here?
736 Allegheny River Boulevard, Verona, PA.
Now, this is like a hidden gem. What's the bike place right next to it?
Dirty Harry's.
So Dirty Harry's, I feel like, is a good landmark to be able to like find this place.
For sure, yeah. And Dirty Harry's has been around forever. They're kind of like Gatto's in a lot of ways. Like people in the bicycle community, they know Dirty Harry's.
They know where that is.
Yeah.
Well, this place is like this is like a labyrinth, like Monarch Vintage. This is a labyrinth to get back here, and this is honestly the most unique like storefront I've ever seen. It's very, very interesting. But you bring up a good point as far as like people like messaging you and asking about like, you know, items and like saying, do you have anything else? Because I think I've even done that before to you. I even said like, you got like any 3Xs in there? And the reason I do it is because no one ever has 3X. So like, it's a fucking waste for me to drive, and if there's nothing for me to buy, you know what I mean? It's fucked up.
You're lucky because I'm a big boy too. So
I know.
I carry a lot of.
I like that.
XL to 3XL.
I like that. That's good.
You also messaged me originally about the about it, the no limit.
Yeah, like I had no idea about it. I found it on eBay because I was trying to find a no limit jersey, like a basketball jersey, kind of like the one in the music videos that they had, the white one with the green and the tank.
Okay. And, I've never seen that one before.
It's in...
never seen one for sale, I guess is what I mean.
Yeah, it's like they don't have them anymore. They're nowhere to be found, not even on eBay.
It's probably casting. It was probably a part of the group.
Oh, I think it was. Yeah. I think it wasn't. It wasn't anything retail. I don't think. I think that was all like custom shit.
Yeah.
Because like the only thing you could find now, pretty much, is like the old No Limit like bootleg shit.
Yeah.
That kind of is like off, and like this is. I think this is definitely a bootleg shirt.
Oh yeah.
And like I think that adds to it. Like I love
bootleg's cooler to me.
Yeah. Like I love like I grew up in flea markets and shit like that. So like my whole like I've always had an interest in vintage. I've always had an interest in like the old nostalgic shit. And like my dad used to grip me up, like me and my brother, he used to grip us like Tommy Hilfiger suits, but it was like bootleg shit. And that's just what they sold at the flea market, and it was dope. I probably had 35 of them Tommy water bottles right there. But this place is definitely dope. So you said you've been here for about a year?
About a year, yeah.
Now, I mean,
we were building out the space for about a year prior to that, though.
Really?
So yeah, so we actually invested in the building with a family member who has an office in the front.
Yeah.
And when it went up for sale, this was originally an art gallery.
Yeah.
So when people come here, the shop is like very compartmentalized because she had it set up that each room was for different artists that came through, and she switched it like every other week type of situation. So when we ended up getting the building and moving in here, the space was very different than what it was now. It was ready for probably a retail shop to a degree, but it wasn't up to my standards at the time. So that we changed the flooring, painted everything, light fixtures, and then, I mean, there's a lot of changes. Like even that wall over here that's, you know, kind of a gallery wall, behind that is a fireplace, and there are actually windows that are about, I would say probably close to 20 feet. So this goes up to almost 30 feet.
The
room
ceiling?
we're in right now, the ceiling. Yeah. So
holy shit.
So of course, back in the day with the drop ceiling,
I mean, like
everyone changed those things, and you know, to save money. This
is wild for sure. This is definitely an interesting, like, and you said that this was an old bank?
Yeah, in the 20s, Savings and Loans Bank.
When did that close? Do you know?
I should do some research on it. We found a lot of paperwork when we were doing the remodeling and these old shelving and stuff like that. I think it's either the 50s or the 60s.
Somewhere back
closed,
then.
Yeah.
And then,
there's actually a bank next to us as well, which is funny. And then also, Verona at one point in time had the most bars per capita, kind of similar to, in terms of the size, similar to Southside now. So yeah, Verona's been a happening place for a while, because you picture it's right on the railroad line, and also the river is right behind us. So
I've never been over here before. You know, before I started dating my wife, like she lives right up the road, and like we would always go to the river. What was that place? The tavern.
Yeah. There was one down in the North Shore. Too,
there was a bunch. I can't even remember what it is. They closed them all, but. Like this place, so you said you had this and you started the build out a year beforehand. Like before we even get into all this, like I feel like we're going to get into all kinds of shit. So before we even do all this, I do an opening segment with all my guests. It's called What's in the Cup. What's in the cup? What's in your cup?
Turner's tea, Thug Jug.
Thug Jug of Turner's tea. This is not this was your choice.
Absolutely.
I wasn't like trying to push this on you, like you got to pick Turner's. But
no, you can't go wrong.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Can't beat that in the morning.
Congratulations, by the way. Like I said, this is truly what I wanted to start my day. But
I appreciate that.
I do.
Turner's Iced Tea. I mean, they're sponsors of the podcast. Like you just can't beat it. Like I look around, I see a bunch of Pittsburgh shit. I see a bunch of, you know, just like all kinds of like nostalgic stuff, and like Turner's Iced Tea is like right on the level of that for me. Like it has a nostalgic feel to my heart, and it's dope that they're back in the podcast. But so before we even like get to where we are now with like the whole like Monarch movement that you have here, it's like
I like that.
where does this even come from? Because I feel like that you obviously have like a passion for this, because you could see it through what you do. You're very like knowledgeable about what's like what you're posting. Like you always have like you know, stuff that's like, you know, it's you have cool shit. Like I don't see you posting just like cookie cutter shit. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people do. It's just like a quick vintage flip. But like if you come in here, I see like all kinds of wild ass shit that like I've never seen, and it's super interesting. And you said you're what, 27?
27, yeah.
Now, like, where does that interest come from in the beginning?
Yeah, so my partner in the shop, also in life, my best friend, Madison. So she also, something that we haven't really touched upon much about the shop in general, but she was like the interior decorator of this entire space. Okay. If you were to come in here and it was just my shop, you'd probably just be a Yinzer man cave. Yeah. You know, something you expect in your uncle's basement. Absolutely. Iron City all over the place, you know. But so she really helped me kind of, again, I use the word compartmentalized, but map the space out so it was designated for a specific product. So the space we're in right now is mainly 90s gear. When you walk in, is true American vintage, denim, workwear, Carhartt, old Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
The vault, which there's a bank vault in here from the 1920s, being a bank, has a lot of more of the high-end product, the vintage grails. There's a women's section in the back that we haven't posted any product from, but people that come through get to experience that, which is really neat because, again, you're talking about a hidden gem, but it's really a secret.
Yeah.
But her pap, when I first met her, I've been dating her for almost 10 years now. But her pap rode a Harley Davidson. He worked with his hands his whole life in Pittsburgh, and they collected antiques. They went to a lot of flea markets and things like that. So going over their house, I originally started to see that. And then when he started to get older and understood basically what I like to wear, he started passing down a majority of his Woolrich collection, which I personally collect Woolrich and Harley Davidson because of him.
Yeah.
But then I started going to flea markets with her. And originally, when you look around the shop, you'll see a lot of signage, advertising, gas cans, things like that. That's what I gravitated towards. I don't particularly know why. I think it was the colors, the fact it was American made.
Yeah.
Used to go to TJ Maxx and Marshalls and things like that, and you see the old signs and the remake signs.
Yeah, the remakes,
and they're neat to me. But you would pick them up and notice the quality difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, I mean, finding an amazing sign for $20 at a flea market, and then you go to TJ Maxx, you see the same one for $20. You start to kind of think differently because you want the original.
Absolutely.
So that's how my eye originally started shifting towards, I would say, older product, American-made product. And then the first thing I ever bought was an old 80s Louisville Slugger pullover hoodie.
Yeah.
And it was all over branded, had a big bat on it. It said Heavy Hitters. It was just the dopest thing I'd ever seen at the time.
When is this, like 17?
It was, yeah. So I'm 27, right around 17 years old.
No, but wait, before we're even into this, like whenever you're younger, you have no interest in all this stuff?
I wore it all. My mom got me, my mom had me having the drip, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Like Tommy had the toe, Oshkosh, Polo, all that.
So like you had a little bit of it in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Like when I first started getting into this again, I was asking her, I'm like, is there stuff in the attic? Are there old hats? And she would find, Thomas the Tank hats, all those things from, the 90s, that the 90s children had. I wasn't like huge into shoes.
Yeah.
I always had cool shoes, but they were like, just like your basic like white sneakers.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was never as a kid. I wasn't really into like Jordans or. She didn't get me that stuff.
It doesn't like register. I don't think because I had it like we would always get a new pair of school shoes and then a Kennywood outfit shoes.
Yeah.
And I would basically just copy off my brother with whatever he had, and because he was 6 years older than me, like he was the filter of all the cool shit. Like I didn't have to I couldn't. It's not that I couldn't develop my own style, but like obviously he's your older brother. Like he's already doing the cool stuff.
Right.
So like I try to I would get a pair of threes if he got them, or like a pair of fours. The He Got Games.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember watching that movie whenever I was super young with him and thinking, like, this is crazy. And I remember just, always wanting what he had but not realizing what it was. I think my first pair of shoes that I chose myself were some Converse Dennis Rodman. They zipped up the front.
I have to look these up now.
Yeah, I don't know if I am just if it's almost like the Mandela effect or something, but I swear to God, they were a pair of Converse. They were black. They had shoelaces, but then they had almost like the Mike Vicks that zippered up on the front. It had like a
the
cover.
Nike Shocks type of situation.
Yeah, dude, they were so bizarre. But I remember going to Century 3 and I remember that those were the first pair of shoes that I wanted.
Okay.
And I remember it was that, and it was a Dennis Rodman jersey, and because I always loved Dennis Rodman, I just loved people that that stuck out like sore thumbs, like he had green hair and everything. Like what wasn't to love? So my like you said with the shoes though, I never cared about it in the beginning. I don't know why.
Pretty similar, to be honest, man. my dad would give me money. I'd get a pair of Timbs. We'd go to the outlets and get a pair of Timbs and Chuck Taylors. And those were my two shoes for the whole year type of situation. I remember I'm not actually a skater, but I grew up around a lot of skaters, so Vans were just like an absolute staple back in the day for me. It was like Vans, Chuck Taylors, and then everything regarding sports.
Were you into sports back then?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I played sports my entire life. It was mainly baseball, basketball. I wasn't very good at basketball, but I played basketball.
Yeah.
But mainly baseball, and then that transitioned actually my 8th grade year. I started playing volleyball and actually went to
volleyball.
Yeah. So
your school had a volleyball team.
I did. So I grew up like Aspinwall, O'Hara Township area. Went to Fox Chapel Public School my entire life up until my sophomore year of high school when I transferred to Central Catholic.
Oh, so that's private school.
Yeah. So Fox Chapel had a really good volleyball team though.
Really?
So
That's wild.
the coach 8th grade kind of started recruiting some of the athletes that I think were trying to figure out what direction they wanted to go.
Yeah.
And maybe they were, good at baseball, pretty good at baseball, basketball, could jump. And we had really good training my 8th grade year. So myself and a couple good friends ended up doing Junior Olympics, club volleyball, went down to Atlanta.
So you were like into it heavy.
I was really into it. Yeah.
Man, I've never even we didn't have a volleyball team. The most we would play in gym class and we would have the most fun, but then we had co-ed volleyball. It was like a tournament throughout our school, but I feel like that it's always looked down upon.
Oh, for sure.
For a guy sport,
for sure.
Everyone's like, that's for women, you know what I mean? But then that was the most fun in gym class, and co-ed volleyball was just
crashing the net. And
that shit was so fun. And now that I think about it, like you just mentioned that, I don't know why a lot of schools didn't have it.
That's what was funny. So going to Central, everyone thought I played football.
Yeah.
Because I was taller, a bigger kid, and all my good friends played football.
Yeah.
Then when they found out I played volleyball, they started kind of clowning me and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then my senior year, we were really good.
Central Catholic had a volleyball team?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were kind of average when I transferred over there, sophomore through junior year. But the crew I was with that was in my grade, and actually some of the kids younger than us that were really tall.
Yeah.
The team my senior year was great. And so everyone started to come into the games and seeing how lit it was, honestly, how crazy it was.
Yeah.
Because when you have a good rally going on in volleyball and the energy is up, people go crazy. And you're hitting the ball really hard. People are, able to return that. And there's so much that goes into the game.
Yeah, dude, it's wild.
It's really a team sport. You could have the craziest hitter in the world, but if you don't have a setter to get them situated, it doesn't matter.
Who's the person that wears the different jersey?
The libero.
The libero. I couldn't remember the name.
They're the defensive specialist.
It's wild because
they're badass, man. Liberos are badass.
I it was such a foreign idea to me.
Yeah.
But then my younger cousin, he was super into volleyball as well, and I was like, huh. He's playing volleyball, and so I would start watching it if it was on TV, and it's lit.
Vince Carter played volleyball?
Did he?
And he was a beast.
I bet he would be.
Imagine,
he's tall
right?
as shit, yeah.
His I forget. I was looking up his kills or something like that. That's when you spike and you win a point.
Yeah.
And he was just
How long did you play? How many years?
8th grade till just basically through high school.
What made you want to do that?
It's a good because my homies, honestly, my good friends all that weren't playing football and weren't playing football. Maybe we're on the ropes about basketball. So there were the basketball and volleyball season were also different. So you could play both sports. So I think a lot of the coaches were trying to convert those basketball players because that help with their vertical.
Yeah. That would
honestly
make sense.
that
would make sense.
So a lot of my friends that played basketball would also play volleyball, and it just became kind of like a club type
I think
of thing.
that it would be more popular in schools, for guys if that was an option. If it's just a female volleyball team, it starts drilling that in people's minds that's a women's sport.
Definitely.
But if you had a guys team in there and because I remember going to volleyball games and basketball games and shit, and it was crazy. It was live in there. People were going
nuts.
Penn
Hills?
No, I went to
McKeesport.
I went to McKeesport until 7th grade, and then I went to Elizabeth Forward.
Okay, because Penn Hills actually had we were close to Penn Hills. They had a good team.
Yeah. And I think
it's just athletes. That's the thing about volleyball. Is
absolutely.
if you're athletic and you can get the structure down, you can be real good quick, because it's just like the movements are difficult, but once they're semi-mastered and you have the vertical, some strength, arm power, like, but then it's cool because you're talking about liberos. Like, some of these guys come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
the kid could be 5 foot, but he just running around the court, diving. They're usually the crazy guys too, honestly.
Yeah, and that's why I asked my cousin. I was like, who was the people? I think that he was one. And I was like, who are the people with the different jerseys? Like, what does that mean? Because, like, I remember texting him and asking him and being like, like, why does that person have a jersey? Why is he coming out and going back in? He's like, he's a utility dude. He does whatever you need. And, like, he'll pop in and pop out. But that's like a wild chapter in life, I'm sure.
For sure.
Volleyball. What do you mean Junior Olympics?
So there was a club volleyball team that I was a part of. Got kind of lucky because the head coach at Fox Chapel was also the head coach of the Junior Olympic squad. So it was like, it was serious, like tryouts, everything like that. And we went down to Atlanta for Junior Olympics. It would have been my freshman year of high school. And that was an amazing experience, because it was the first time outside of like a camp experience that I had traveled with a bunch of like my guy friends, and we stayed in hotels, like
that would be
type
super
of situation.
Fun.
But then what was so cool about that is you see the international impact of volleyball. Yeah. Like kids coming in from Puerto Rico and, from Italy and all these places, and they have different hairstyles, but we're playing pool and hanging out, and, like we're all the same. Like it was just such a cool experience for me being young from Pittsburgh and not really experiencing that so much.
Is it more popular other places?
Yeah.
That would make more sense.
If you're good at it, you probably going to end up going overseas and playing professionally, or you play sand volleyball, because that's the only real way to make money.
The people we were in California, and we were on the beach watching these group of dudes play this volleyball. It was the craziest shit ever.
We're about to talk about volleyball for like 2 hours.
That's all right. Fuck it. That's why I get to do what I want on this podcast. That's why I don't write questions down. It's because, like, I'm interested in shit. So it's like, we'll get to where we need to go.
Well, that's honestly, man, the main, when I first started listening to your podcast, that's what I like about it, is that it's, it's obvious, it's specialized towards, you want to come in and be talking to someone about, what they do or their business. But then you get a much broader perspective on who they are as a person.
That's my goal.
And that's why I always liked listening to like Rogan, honestly, because he would just bounce so many things off the board, and it wasn't just like, oh, I'm here to talk about MMA or boxing or whatever it may be,
He absolutely changed the world as far as like consuming technology or consuming information, because like he made it almost like people don't want to watch the news because like there's themes to different news stations, and like you don't want to hear about all the bullshit, but like Rogan, you hear about stuff that you could curate what you want. You could listen to someone, like the other day I was listening to this dude who he was a NASA astronaut. He lived up in space for like 90 days, and then he lived under the sea for 2 weeks, and like
unreal.
Like it don't matter. Like it doesn't matter like what it is. People find interest in like crazy shit, and it's more interesting to me. I obviously know that your shit about vintage. Like we're gonna get into it, and I know that like that your spot is like established, it's dope, but like I more or less am interested in the way people got to where they are, because like you obviously know about all this shit, but like why do you know about all this? Like where does it come from? And like I can understand the whole like sports end of it all, because like you're from Pittsburgh, you like the Steelers, the Penguins, right. And like those have been iconic jerseys that have been worn over the years, even from people that weren't around here. Snoop Dogg's wearing fucking a Penguins jersey and gin and juice, and it's like that shit's crazy.
I was about to honestly say that too. Hip hop has been probably the most influential part of my life in terms of just clothing, style, attitude, everything about it. It's kind of funny. Like, I grew up in the suburbs, so it's not like you wouldn't expect from me. I don't know. Everyone listens to hip hop, but I was thinking about it on the way over here, listening to some of your other podcasts, and like all my favorite albums are hip hop. At the end of the day, like I grew up listening to classic rock. My parents were born in the '60s, so a lot of the Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, all that stuff. But
absolutely,
at the end of the day, what I listen to, and all aspects of life, like whether I'm chilling or going to the gym, it's always hip hop. And I think that was a big aspect too of getting back into the clothing that I grew up wearing. Was I remember in high school it was Lil Wayne, like everything.
Yeah.
He was wearing the beaters with the Ralph Lauren beaters with the Ralph Lauren top, camo shorts, Chuck Taylors.
Yeah.
And then that kind of honestly then Wiz. Wiz, I mean, we can talk about that, but like
it's interesting because like you said, I never really thought about it. Like hip hop is that was like the most like consistent thing if you were into it, because like you would watch it and like every day you would come home, that was like MTV, you would watch
MTV
that.
Jams, MTV Hits.
Yeah, and that was whenever they were like playing music still. So like you would see the people that you liked, and like that's where like my like music videos and shit like that was definitely like where I would develop my styles from. At first it was skateboarding, but then like I would see people like Sum 41 and like bands like that, and like I would gravitate towards that, and it would like make me want to dive deeper into that sort of style.
Oh yeah.
But so like if you're in high school and shit like that, it's like are you conscious of your style?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, so it was interesting. So going to that, this is another thing that changed things up for me. So going to Central,
so you got a uniform.
So khakis, button-down shirt.
But you were allowed
tie,
to wear your own shoes.
But I would still go to the pull Ralph Lauren outlets to get like all my gear.
Yeah.
And I'm like Ralph Lauren. Like for me, that's the epitome of clothing in general because it's timeless.
Yeah.
Like all of this '90s stuff. I mean, it's cool. Like it really is. But how he developed his clothing.
Yeah.
He never followed trends. And that's the biggest thing. Like, again, the reason why I wanted to open up a shop is because of the fact that you see how much garbage is being produced on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And, the sustainability aspect of it. But something I honestly encourage everyone to do is go to the Goodwill by the pound, go to the Goodwill bins, the outlet, because you see how much product is being thrown away on a daily basis.
It's insane.
And it's absolutely insane.
Every 15 minutes they bring out more bins.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're just endless. Like, where does this shit even come from?
And you're at one spot.
Yeah.
And, you figure, so you start to just realize that at the end of the day, like, I mean, I still buy new clothing. I buy new shoes, underwear, socks, pants. But, like, I mean, it's difficult for me. I'm really only buying product if I'm buying it to support a homie, or like I'm really not trying to buy new clothing at all because I don't need it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You're in here, how many t-shirts, everything.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, me going to the mall and buying something, I'm just really adding.
Plus, it's
to
the
that
same
problem.
shit that everyone else is wearing. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that you like to wear things that like other people don't have. You don't see all the time. Like you got that ill-ass jersey on right now. You don't see it all the time. And it's like it's interesting what you brought up about like Central Catholic, because like if you're conscious of your style and everything like that, you're wearing a uniform. It's like how do you get to like embellish your style? Like, or were you allowed to wear your own shoes?
I wear corduroys.
Yeah.
And cardigans.
All the time.
All the time. And that's what people like. So when I was at Fox Chapel, this is funny, but the reason why I got my nickname, people call me Flyboy Flynn, is because my mom gave me money to go to Time Bomb.
Yeah.
My freshman year of high school with my best friend Tony, and I went there and I bought purple jeans and a purple LRG fur hoodie.
Of course,
she
LRG.
was pissed. Like she was like, "What? Like you really bought a full purple outfit with like?" And I'm like, and back then, man, I mean, I swear, Time Bomb t-shirts were like $50. So like, they were expensive.
They were expensive.
Whatever money she gave me, that was 2 items of clothing. I think I got like a Boaz mixtape or like something like that. Yeah.
Pair of Huff socks.
Yeah, Kev the Hustler mixtape or something. For sure, the Huff socks.
Yeah, the Huff socks,
the Huff
dude.
sock. Oh,
everyone wanted them. They had weed leaf on them.
Of course, my mom loved those. Yeah, but so then I wore them to school, and man, that's like during a different era of time where, like, you would get clowned on for like being like being different. Like, I mean, nowadays I think that people respect it because they see like it's like a grunge style now, but it's emo.
Yeah.
It's all emo. So the people, I mean, think about it. Like those baggy pants with the chains and everything like that, like, you know, rappers are wearing them now. So it's like kids think that's cool. I have people that come through the shop that are, you know, males, they have painted fingernails. So I'm like, that's dope. Like,
yeah, it's interesting about that.
But back then, it was totally different.
You would get shunned.
So people were like really going hard on me. And this senior at Fox Chapel was like, no, that's Flyboy Flynn. And like just said that. And then from there, like all the parents started calling me Flyboy and like all that stuff. So it was kind of
you were allowed to wear other stuff?
This was at Fox Chapel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But then at Central, we would have dress down days.
Okay, yeah.
But really the only way I was able to like be different with my style was with cardigans and with corduroys, because a lot of people didn't wear corduroys, they wore khakis.
Yeah, no one ever wore no corduroys.
No, I love corduroys.
Yeah.
Cozy boys.
Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah. And then this senior, I'm trying to remember his name, but he had all the fire dunks. The crazy SBs. Yeah. So I remember...
You were allowed to wear any shoes you wanted?
Those were during the dress down days.
Okay, but did you have to wear like dress shoes?
Yeah, you wore like Sperry's, and Sperry's were like the comfort. It was rough, man.
Yeah, that's rough. Why do you think that... What are the benefits of... I mean, I guess there are benefits.
The number one benefit is that...
Everyone's
people
equal.
Are coming... Exactly.
Yeah.
People are coming from all over the city.
Yeah, so everyone
and then you
equals.
come together, and it's equal. And honestly, man, like, getting ready for the real world, like, it's a big... I loved it. Like, I really did, because you woke up and you were, like, ready to go do work.
Yeah.
It wasn't like... I don't know, man. Like, you're waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you're putting a tie on, and you got to have, you know, it's funny because I've always had pretty serious facial hair.
Yeah.
So that was an issue because I had to shave like every day.
Oh, you weren't allowed to have a beard?
Stubble.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was rough.
That
you could have a mustache,
insane.
which is so cut up. Yeah, you could have a mustache. So some people like rock that hard. Like, you'll look at the senior photos and like people have these crazy mustaches.
So I mean, you spent 2 years there.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's just like that's super interesting. That would be an interesting like environment. Like in school though, like did you have any idea of what you wanted to do outside of school?
So Central's interesting because you don't really have like you do have accelerated and AP classes, but it's more difficult to get in those from public high schools.
Yeah.
But they had a business program there. So I took, you know, accounting, marketing, a lot of other business classes, and then I went to Duquesne and went there for supply chain management, information systems. Outside of that, ended up working at PNC Bank for 2 years, and then I worked for a startup for like a year and a half while I was building all of this out.
But you knew that you wanted to do this?
I just loved it.
Yeah.
I never knew, for so long, man, it was just a passion. Like all these cups, these old Pittsburgh cups, all these like champion hoodie, like sweatshirts. Those are things I just give to friends or cousins. Like, you know, my uncles for their birthdays, give them 2 old Pittsburgh Scotch glasses and, you know, a bottle of Scotch, or an old beer glass and a 6-pack. Like,
now, are you building an inventory of clothes?
Well, that's what
in high school.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, it was different. I wasn't thrifting in high school. I wasn't really going hard with that until college. I had no money. So it was like, that was my only way to get fly at the end of the day, or have something different.
Was thrifting.
Yeah. And like, so yeah, I mean, it really, really started hitting hard towards the end of college, I would say it was. Because back then, man, I mean, you could go out and actually find things. Like, you could establish a collection fairly quickly.
It wasn't saturated. You know, now everyone, if you go to a Goodwill now, you see people with like full buggies and they're thrifting because they know what's worth
Supreme hat.
Yeah.
You know immediately.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. You see people wearing a Supreme hat, some Yeezys, some anything, and you're like, oh, that person is definitely looking for, you know, a come up real quick.
Right. I don't hate on it though, man.
No, you can't.
No. And the thing is too is, number one, everyone has different markets, but then also it's one of those things where we're all growing it together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're the only shop or you're the only person doing this, it's really difficult for you to grow it and make it sustainable yourself. But the more people start realizing, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, it starts catching on and becoming of movement, like the whole vintage movement, and like, Because, I mean, what do you think the first vintage store in Pittsburgh was that like had this stuff? Like that had like the blend of like the Supreme shit and the blend of like the vintage stuff, like
the blend of the streetwear and the
of like the old school.
Well,
like,
I mean, Closed Minded in Bloomfield, they've been around for like close to 10 years now.
I've never even heard of them. I've never been there.
Real good people over there.
Closed Minded.
Bloomfield.
So like now that's like kind of like this vibe? Like they have like a blend of like Supreme type shit?
It's they have bits and pieces of it. It's just more or less I mean the first one period in my eyes is Zed's.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that he, in my opinion, and I always tell him this, he did a really good job. It's difficult to do in Pittsburgh, but mixing the hype with the vintage, and helping to put that vintage on that platform.
Yeah.
Because so I was just in LA. The cheapest T-shirt in the West Coast is $40. Here, that's an expensive vintage T-shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not people have to be pretty hip to it. They're looking for the $10. $10 rack. Whatever.
Absolutely.
But he did a good job at starting to mix those. So you're looking at like, a vintage, like a Led Zeppelin shirt or a rap tee. And then there's also a box logo. So it's like you see the $200 T-shirt, but you also see the $100 vintage T-shirt that no one else has.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. Like that's
a really good point though, because like that's what I think is unique about it, and that's what I was talking to him about whenever I interviewed him, and like I think it's so interesting because like before I interviewed him, like I've already been to Round 2, I've already been to California and like Fairfax and like seen all those stores, and like because my whole introduction of everything was, for years I was a skateboarder type. I wore Vans, I wore just any type of jeans, and then I just would wear skate shirts. That was all it was. And then I eventually moved to like, thrifting a bunch of like weird shit. I would wear cheerleading shirts and like, carry an attaché case and wear a suit jacket. Like I had ill tweed suit jackets in high school.
Those are my favorite.
And like I would wear that shit, and like I just never gave a shit about what people would say about me. And like I liked being myself, and like whatever. I had the illest London Fog jacket of all time. I came home one time.
Very underrated.
So underrated. I told my mom, I was like, I went to the thrift store, I got a dope ass winter jacket, and I put it on, and she was like, oh my God. And it had a crazy fur collar, and I remember wearing it in school, and like people were like, what is that? And I'm just like, bro, you're sleeping on this. Like this is like shit ain't made like this no more. Like I'm warm at the bus stop. Like you guys are wearing some Nike windbreakers and you're freezing, but like,
or spending $200 on North Face Denali.
Exactly.
That I'm like, my mom's no way she's buying me
not
that
a chance. My mom, like my parents were so cool because like, they would peel us off at 20 and let us go to the movies and shit. But like, if I was like, yo, buy me a pair of $180 Jordans, they would laugh in my face.
Go get them yourself.
Yeah, go get them yourself.
Yeah, I love that though, because like my parents were the same way, and like I know they could have if they wanted to.
Absolutely, they could have.
They were like, no, like he's gonna ruin these, he's gonna destroy these.
100%.
And at the end of the day, I feel like that right now, like that's what made me work so much harder to get to this point and continue working, because it was never easy. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? Like if someone was just handing me this at the end of the day, like
100%.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're thrifting and you're starting to like develop shit like outside of like obviously in high school, but like out of college and shit like that, if you're thrifting and you're like having an idea, like when does the first like reselling come into play for you?
So it took. Well, I want to mention one other thing too, because you asked me about physical shops.
Go ahead.
But for me, the people that I really respect, they're good friends. They run it's online. They also have a little showcase, little storefront area. But it's called Heat Check.
Heat Check.
Heat Check. So my buddies Brendan and Ricky, they're younger, so they're 21.
I don't know if I've ever heard of them.
They've been in this and about it for a long time. Like, definitely check them out. And in regards to understanding especially at their age, but understanding what's going to continue to be popular. Yeah. And also just having a good eye. Like, at the end of the day, like, people ask me what to buy. I'm like, buy what you like. Because at the end, I mean, that's my whole thing. Buy what you love, buy what you like, buy what catches your eye. Because if you're just following what other people are doing. How, number one, you can't differentiate yourself from it.
Absolutely.
But number two, it's not going to make you happy. Like, everyone thinks that, oh yeah, you just find a t-shirt for $1 and sell it for $300, and it's like, no. Like, I could walk in a shop with 20 people and I'm going to find something different just because I've been doing this for so long. Like, it's
Absolutely.
it's a different mentality, different, outlook on it. But in terms of reselling, again, so I collected for almost 8 years without selling anything.
Yeah.
So I sold a couple things online. I dabbled in like Etsy when Etsy was first popping up. Sold things to friends locally. But have you ever seen the Ghost in the Shell? You into anime at all?
No, I know what Ghost in the Shell is.
You know what Ghost in the Shell is?
Yeah.
So I was in upstate PA. This is like the first time I really realized. It's probably like, again, fairly new to it at the time, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. I was in upstate PA, going through the racks, pulled a shirt, Ghost in the Shell, has a girl on it, and real robotic type of situation. And the tag said fashion victim.
Mm-hmm.
I love tags.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is dope. And it was like $1 or something. But it was like very mature. Like, the girl was like scandalous.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if I'll wear this, but like, it's an XL. Maybe I rock it like once or twice.
Yeah.
And it was $1.
For $1, yeah.
For $1, I'm not gonna not buy it. So,
and that's what the way you would go to a Goodwill and you would come up with 15 shirts. If you wore them one time, that was it.
Exactly. So I show my girlfriend, and she's like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, you have to buy it." I'm like, "You sure?" And she's like, "Yeah, buy it." So we have no service we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
PA, no service. And I was like, I'm wondering what this is. So I get back to mainland society.
Did you know what Ghost in the Shell was?
Not at the time.
Okay, yeah.
No, I wasn't into. I mean, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Like, but in terms of the different levels of anime, and
Yeah.
I didn't know much about it.
It's a big
so
pool.
I just thought it was cool. So I go home, look it up. Last sale, $350 for the
Really?
shirt. Yeah. So I was like on
Holy
eBay.
shit.
So I originally looked up the movie, and I was like, "Oh, this is like interesting." Then I looked it up on eBay, and I'm like, "Whoa!" And that was the first.
That was like the first big come up.
Is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was the first time I really recognized the international reach.
Yeah.
And then I started to really get more into understanding shirts, quality of shirts, different levels of vintage. That just kind of like sparked my.
That kind of got the ball rolling. Like,
I think so.
Because that's what I was going to ask next, is because like obviously every piece in here has like a story, has history, and like you have, I mean, like you don't know about it until you research it. So like,
my favorite part.
If you get that first piece and you get that like momentum going where you're starting to research, like that's where it all started coming from.
Definitely.
Is from that part.
That's my favorite part about it. I mean, like, especially, I mean, it's different. Like, I grew up with wrestling. I grew up, in terms of like pop culture type of things or brands with, Tommy and all those things. It's a brand. So you look at it and you're like, oh, it's a cool logo. Oh, it's Tommy Hilfiger. Oh, it's, it has a horse on it, whatever it may be. But then you start to find, different movie T-shirts, music, and every time I get a shirt like that, I'll throw on the album.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and then you start to kind of
point.
like you're growing yourself because maybe you never thought you were into that music. Maybe you never thought you were into those kind of movies.
Yeah,
but then you start to realize it all comes full circle. Like Kanye had an interview talking about how Akira was like one of his favorite movies of all time and how it inspired a lot of his music and art direction and all these things. And you look back at Stronger and some of these music videos he did, and obviously the Japanese influence that he's had over his career. And it's just so interesting. Again, like you find something, someone brings something in, and it's a lot more than a T-shirt to me.
Yeah,
it's
like
a lot more than
It's like a book.
Yeah, and
you could just open that up and go as deep as you want with it. And like that's super cool because like some of the shit that I see you post, like that Manson shirt you just posted, it's like I knew of Marilyn Manson because like I would listen to Marilyn Manson back then, and like that's dope. But then like nowadays you see like Lil Uzi wearing that thing in
it's iconic.
What was that video?
Bad and Bougie.
Bad and Bougie.
Yeah.
That video's been seen millions and millions of times. And like, Lil Uzi is like, you wouldn't think of him to be a Marilyn Manson fan, but like he's probably one of the biggest.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, that's such like a bizarre crossover. And now you start to see like more crazy shit as far as like, like the influencer mainstream type people, like wearing these like crazy vintage type of old clothes.
That's kind of my big thing too. Is it's funny because I think Pittsburgh has the stigma still that this is used clothing. You can find it at a thrift shop. Okay, yeah, but at the end of the day, you're seeing these, A-list celebrities wearing this. Like, some people won't wear vintage because it's used clothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you're not going to wear a t-shirt, and meanwhile, I mean, talk about like top tier, like, you see Kylie Jenner wearing like a rap tee.
Yeah,
and it's like, so you're not going to wear it, but this girl who's a billionaire, it just is a little bit like, because for me, I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of these celebrities too are looking towards the sustainability aspect. I mean, they have all the money in the world, and they're
nowadays it's definitely more like noticeable and like more understanding when you have people like Leonardo DiCaprio, like
for sure,
kind of jamming it down people's throats, which you need to do. I feel like that we just live in like a world of ignorance, and it's like ignorance is bliss, but like shit really is like going bad. And to like have the people that are them iconic people mention it. It's like, it's dumb that you have to have someone of that magnitude say it before you start listening to it. Yeah. But I mean, whatever.
The fashion clothing industry causes some of the most pollution in the world.
It's insane.
From everything from the actual, like cotton to the dyeing process and everything that, down the stream. But it's one of those things that's just like, I just hope people are realizing it more and more and are looking to kind of operate a little bit differently.
Absolutely.
In life. Like, I mean, you can buy new clothing, but just be a little bit
more aware
of it. You know what I mean? Like, you see these brands like Fashion Nova and all these fast fashion new brands, and it's like, it's cool, it's on trend, but I see those people literally selling, they'll wear it one time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I understand like that too if you want to wear something different every day, but you're wearing it one time, and then what are you doing with it? Are you just throwing it away?
It's crazy.
You're going to give it to someone? Like, I don't know.
It's also interesting to like think of vintage pieces and like where they've traveled.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I saw, I might have seen it on your post. Someone commented and said, I had this at one point.
Yeah.
And you're just like, damn, that's crazy. Like, and like for it to like jump back and forth and kind of like be passed down through people, it's such like a cool aspect of like it's just a t-shirt, but like, people wore it in California.
Oh yeah.
People wear it over here. It meant something to someone in California. It means something to you here. And it's like, it's almost like it brings that common like bond together, and it's definitely dope. Like I enjoy like the whole like story of it all. But it's such a weird thought that like I don't know if everyone can understand, a shirt from 1990 being sold for $300.
Yeah.
People think that that's insane. It's a used t-shirt and everything like that. But I mean, I think that that's where the respect of the history comes into play.
Oh, definitely. I think also, man, like, just again, I don't mean to interrupt you, but piggybacking off that, like, the thing is though, I mean, like, not to be weird, but I've spent up to $400 to get a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I've spent $400 on a t-shirt and made money on it.
What was it?
A Deadpool t-shirt. A vintage Marvel t-shirt.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like, I think a lot of the other thing is people just think all this stuff is found in a thrift shop. But when you have a more curated space, a more curated shop, taste level, in order to get that product, you're not finding things for $1 all the time.
Absolutely.
Like, I think the internet, I mean, even round 2.
Yeah.
Like,
they definitely,
bro, they spend so much money.
Yeah, like those dudes,
much money.
Those dudes, like, they've definitely, like, almost single-handedly, like,
it changed the game,
reinvented the game of like vintage and everything, because I remember, like, style and everything, like, it came from me. I was a Time Bomb kid, like back from like 2008, going to Time Bomb.
Brick.
Yeah, shout out Brick. I've been trying to get him on here. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But anyway, like, I would go down there and I would buy shit, like whatever it is, and that was still like newer fashion. That wasn't any of the vintage shit. But then like
Avizu, LRG.
Oh my god, that's literally exactly what it was. Like at Crooks and Castles, all that shit. And like, I still have a Crooks and Castles vest in my car right now from Time Bomb. And it's weird to think about that, because like, it was more, back then people weren't buying vintage shit to like look cool. It was like you had to buy this new shit. Like Time Bomb was like it injected cool and it injected drip into the city because like that's where people that were like stylish would go.
Turkey baster dripping.
Yeah, and like that's where people knew to go to like buy the good shit because there wasn't a bunch of other places. And then like you have this weird time zone where like I just started to like hear about Round 2, and I remember watching like their videos back whenever they only had the Virginia location, and it's like watching like the possibilities of everything and like how much people were getting for this, how much people were getting for that. And I think that one of the best tools that Round 2 used to like kind of like spread this thing was like the transparency of it all. You know, like talking about the prices, talking about what it's worth, talking about how much they would pay for it, and like also being the most fair with prices. You know what I mean? It because if there's people that are trying to like wax you, like let's say I bring something in, it sours your taste and you don't want anything to do with it. But like these dudes at Round 2, they paid the best prices. They sold it for the best price you can get it. They relied on quantity over like just a couple pieces. Like, oh, I'm gonna have 3 shirts in my shop. And you know, I bought them for $50, and I have it marked up for $450. Like, and you have to rely on that shirt. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I think that's a big thing. People, the number one thing is quantity. Moving quantity.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're not gonna pay the bills off selling one T-shirt.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And the thing is too. On top of that is there's 2 ends of the spectrum. You may have a shop and you buy a Freddy Krueger shirt that's worth $200. You pay a guy $6 for it, and you sell it for $12. Okay, I respect that too.
Yeah,
because it's a different level.
Yeah,
because it's like at least you're being fair. You're not buying it for $6 and you're marking it up for $250.
Yeah,
but also it's interesting because it's like I have a much deeper respect and I have a pretty good understanding of what the value is.
Yeah.
And I think that if people continued to kind of push that as a whole, especially in the city, people would also realize that vintage is right around designer in regards of, I mean, these are all unique individual pieces.
Absolutely.
They have stories behind them.
A lot of it is better quality than what's coming out now.
I mean, you compare a hoodie with a designer hoodie, like or some of these crew necks, these heavyweight crew necks. I mean, you're not going to get any better. And if they made them nowadays, I mean, New Age Champion.
Yeah.
Look how expensive New Age Champion is.
That's wild.
So if someone comes in and they buy a reverse weave sweatshirt for $35,
yep.
I mean, at the store it's going to be $70. Urban Outfitters.
It's crazy.
So it's like. And you're getting that same, if not better, quality from the 90s.
And then 15 years ago, it's like you're buying it at Kmart, and it's the same crew neck, and you're buying it for like $10.
Oh, my Uncle Greg has like
all the old
head-to-toe champion. Oh, my gosh. The cookouts, like with the all-white New Balances or Monarchs head-to-toe, like gray.
That's the best.
Fit. It's the best of all time. Yeah.
Now, if you're so you're obviously getting a little bit of like your inventory built up and you're collecting, and like you found that Ghost in the Shell shirt. It's like, when did you realize that you like wanted to do this and like
open the shop?
Yeah, and like start to. I mean, like, did you know right from there that you wanted to open a shop, or did you just do like an online type thing at first?
I've always loved it.
Yeah,
it was always my personal style, what I like to wear. I started picking a lot more going to flea markets.
Are you picking just your sizes, or are these like other sizes?
Well, so yeah, that's what's interesting. So at first, that was like the snapback wave. Like hats were so big. I wear a hat every day.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend, I mean, my partner and everything, she was into thrifting and way before I was. Her entire life, she's been doing it.
Oh, that's
so
dope.
We would go, and I remember like going through the hats in the top of the racks, and then chilling and
Those
playing
were my favorite.
Playing like my Game Boy or something like that, and while she would go through everything.
Yeah.
So I think back on those times, and I'm like, man, you slept on some serious.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was just my size, so I would just do XL or large.
Yeah.
So again, I was just shopping for myself. It was what I liked, what I saw in the racks. I wasn't going overboard. I didn't have much money, so it was like I wasn't going there trying to spend $100 at the thrift. I was trying to spend like 10.
Yeah, and
find a T-shirt, a hat, and
absolutely,
just, something else. So then when it started to springboard, is I did sell a couple things online. I appreciated it for what it was. I had some good interactions, but I love talking to people.
Yeah.
I missed the flea market vibe. I missed like
that's the best thing in the world.
Yeah. So just like having
that exchange with someone.
Yeah.
You know, that feeling of like bartering and like learning about where they're coming from and like their story of that piece that they have. And you're just like, damn, like that shit makes me so happy to hear about that.
I could do it all. Like if you wanted me to be doing something 24/7, it would be that. If I could go to a flea market and literally sleep like in my car or in a tent and just wake up and be back at the flea.
Because like you have a different, like it's a different group of characters. It's a different cast of characters all day. It's like you don't know who the fuck you're gonna meet. At the flea market we used to go to, there was this dude that sold all fishing stuff.
Okay.
And my dad just like became friends with him, and like we would just go and chop it up with him for like 40 minutes.
Local flea?
It was in right next to McKeesport. It was Olympia Shopping Center. Okay. They had it on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I never went to that one.
I probably went away maybe 12 years ago.
Okay.
But every Tuesday and Thursday, I would get home and I'm telling you, like from the beginning, kindergarten. I would come home from kindergarten because you would have half-day kindergarten. My dad would be chilling in his dump truck. I would literally get off the bus, hop in there with him. We'd go down to the flea market, go right out. I'd grab a hot dog and a Pepsi, and we would go. He would slice me off a 20, and like I would just go.
Where
and
was
like
the hot dog and Pepsi from?
Some food vendor right there, and it's like right there, and it was the same guy all the time, and like I was always obsessed with the Zippos. I've always loved Zippos. That's why I started smoking cigarettes, so I could like just carry a Zippo. And turns out it was a bad choice, but that interaction was so crazy to me because it's like you're meeting all these weird people. There was a guy in a wheelchair that would go around all the time selling 50/50, and like, you know, you would see all these same people, but you would see all group of new people too, and everyone had just dope ass shit that you would never see before. And you're like, why do you have this? Where did this even come from? And they're like, oh, I got that back in the 60s. My dad worked for this and that. And you're like, man, I love all that. And like that was better to me than going to school and learning in history class.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Big time. I mean, so probably the best recent experience I had was saw a guy. So he posted online like one Harley Davidson T-shirt from the 90s, and I contacted him and I asked him. I said, "Hey man, you happen to have any other shirts?" And he goes, "Yeah, I have a couple of them," because he was kind of far away.
Yeah.
So I drive out. It was like Butler, PA. Get out there. He's working on his motorcycle in the yard.
Oh, that's the best.
Farm home. And I'm like, this is out of American Pickers. Like, it really is. So I pull up, park my car, get out, walk up to him, introduce himself. First thing he asks, he goes, "You want a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I drove an hour and a half away." So Iron City.
Yeah.
Iron City, out of the garage, the classic, the white refrigerator.
Yeah. Oil stains and everything.
Yeah, so he pulls out the shirt, and he has a couple other tees, and he's asking me about them. And he's older, and so I'm showing him like the dates on them, and where they're from.
He didn't know too much about them.
He knew, but he didn't remember.
Yeah.
Like he was Vietnam vet.
Okay.
So, but he actually, this is interesting. So he went over to Europe during Vietnam. I didn't know this. In Europe, we actually had nuclear bombs ready, just in case.
Oh yeah,
in Europe. So he was over there, and he was actually a driver. He was an armed vehicle. I don't know if it was a tank or heavy Hummer military vehicle. He was a driver for a general over in Europe. When he went over there, he broke down his Harley piece by piece and shipped it over to Europe. His Harley. Oh
my God.
And they hated Harleys over there because they were used to the little scooters and quieter
Vespas.
cars and stuff, Vespas.
Yeah.
And so they hated his Harley. But there were a couple shops over there in Germany that worked on Harleys. So he's he's starting to talk to me about this. He's pulling out old pictures. He's showing me his bike. He starts his bike and he's just like having a blast. And he goes, "You're really into this, aren't you?" I collect Harley in Woolrich. So he opens up this bin that he hasn't opened literally since like the 70s or maybe late 80s, probably late 80s, and just filled with Harley tees.
Really?
Oh my gosh! So dating all the way back to probably the early 70s. Some of them, Munich, Germany on the back, things I had never seen before. But he pulls them out, and as we're going through them, I'm saying, oh, when were you in Arkansas? When were you in Texas? Oh, I went down there for a bike rally back in the day. My wife and I used to, take my Harley all across the country. She's out here. There's these Harley Honey t-shirts that are like a size triple extra small, and I'm like, you wore this? Like, she's like, oh yeah, like, the guys would be whistling at me all the time, and that's like my favorite part about it is like beyond the money, beyond like it's just honestly the culture of it. Like all those shirts were worth good money.
Absolutely.
But I had more fun talking to him about the stories behind them and hearing about him
for sure
taking his bike overseas. Like,
did he know
crazy.
that those things were worth money?
Yeah. No, he didn't. But I told him.
Yeah.
He kind of knew because he's like, oh, I saw one being posted for, $30. I couldn't believe it was worth $30. And he had a 3D emblem, and I was like, I'll pay you $100 for that. This is a 3D emblem, it's a very like sought after biker tee.
Yeah.
Pay $100, and I'm like, you have any more of those? I'll pay you $100 for every one.
Yeah, because what do they go for?
300, maybe 200, 300.
Yeah.
I mean, I try. It's difficult with some of this stuff because I want to pay fair, but you got to be realistic with conditioning.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, in the shop I buy at 40-50%.
Yeah.
If it's a t-shirt that I know it's worth having, sometimes even higher just to have. If people are like, I'd like to get a little more, pay a little higher just to have it. And,
absolutely.
But I was realistic about it, and I think he really appreciated it at the end of the day.
That's
super
super
he thought
cool.
he was going to make like $50 for all the shirts, and
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's such a cool like story with just like one or two artifacts that you got rather than like and you got hundreds of things in here, so it's like every one has its own story, and like that's so cool to me. Now, whenever you're doing this and like you're deciding to like first of all, how did you choose this location?
So it was an art gallery back in the day. I'd originally come here for that and saw the bank vault.
Oh.
So the idea of having a shop with a bank vault in it
it's dope.
Was goals. And honestly, the town of Verona has been amazing.
Yeah.
So there's a brewery called Inner Groove that just opened up behind us. And it's family-run business. They've been really supportive. We give them vinyls for vinyl night.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's just one of those things, like, this is a small town that I grew up, like, falling in love with these small towns. That's where I picked a lot. That's where we traveled.
Yeah.
My partner and I, we go camping a lot. I love the outdoors. So it just reminded me of that 45-minute drive, but it's 10 minutes from my house. I used to live in Lawrenceville, so from there it was like maybe 15, 20 minutes. So it's kind of the best of both worlds because you're so close to the city,
absolutely,
but you're removed a bit.
Yeah, to like a little town.
I think it's slept on too, to be honest, because we're in between Oakmont and in a way Lawrenceville, and everything's moving down the river.
Absolutely.
So I think people are starting to kind of recognize,
to realize.
Yeah.
So I mean, you start. I mean, let's say you get into this spot. You guys start building this out, and I mean, what's your idea of what this is going to be?
So originally, I planned on continuing to work a full-time job.
Yeah.
Having the space, paying off basically what I invested into the space, into the building.
Yeah.
And running this as an event space / gallery. Okay, that was the original plan with it. I was working for a startup. Not going to get too into it, but had just literally everything you can expect from a bad situation in a startup happen, and ended up having a conversation with my grandma on a Sunday dinner. My grandma, my parents, and was just like, man, I was waking up in the middle of the night, like sweats. Wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like literally, like I was like hustling shoes on the side, making more money hustling shoes. I'm like, what am I killing myself about? Like, I see like gray hairs popping up in my
and you
beard.
don't even like love it.
I didn't love it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, and I'm building out the space. But the thing was, I at the time I did like my job, so I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'll be there on the weekends. I'll build it out. But then when I ended up leaving, it was like full on, grind mode.
That's where you decided, like, I'm going to do this full time.
And again, I had maybe sold 40 items before opening the shop.
Really?
Like, it was so. It's funny because just to kind of give some people some game who like maybe want to open up a shop or do something like that. Product comes to you once you open up a space, product comes to you quick. I will never run out of product. And it's one of those things, like when I opened the space, I probably had 5 times what you can expect someone to open a vintage store with.
Yeah, you had
like this place was filled, at home was filled, storage filled.
Wow.
And so it was like, and then I'm buying.
Yeah.
Like the first day I opened the shop, kid comes in, 2 pairs of 750 Yeezys, a bunch of clothing, and I'm like, this is gonna be a little easier than I expected getting product.
Absolutely.
You know? That was the number one concern.
Oh,
before
finding
opening
product.
it was like, well, if I'm in here every time, how am I gonna get product? I am so right now I'm open on the weekends and appointment only during the week. But on the Instagram, Shop Monarch Studios Instagram, I'll be posting more realistic and frequent hours shortly.
Yeah.
But I love sourcing. I love finding my own product. And it's different because Pittsburgh's obviously amazing, but when you're relying strictly on what's coming through the door, your product in the shop changes.
Yeah, it's not as curated as you want it to be.
No.
And that makes a lot of sense. Now, whenever you get this place and like you're getting everything in here and you're kind of like designing how you want it to be, when does like first of all, where does the Monarch name come from? So
my pap, he was a steam fitter, worked with his hands his entire life. It's just kind of funny that this is the symbol is a butterfly, but when he passed away, my family started seeing butterflies, monarch butterflies.
Okay.
And so we vacationed down in South Carolina, Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Since I was born, been going down there. And my grandma stays at a place called Monarch. And so all my family Christmas trees, they all have butterflies on them. Everyone's house refrigerator has a butterfly. Just always. So when I was thinking about my name, for a long time I was thinking about my name, and I was like, you know what, like I wanted, honestly, like in regards to hard work, a person I've respected my entire life, there's no other name I should use than somehow be able to carry on his name. So
that's
people
cool.
Think it's the shoes because I
know you like the shoes, and I know that you got
I mess with the shoes.
Yeah, but I also know that like you had a bunch of the like I always saw the butterflies that you would have like custom done or everything, and I was always curious where that came from. But that's a cool like little story of it.
I think like just a butterfly in general and the whole symbolization.
Yeah, you
caterpillar, caterpillar into a butterfly, morphing, changing. Really like cognizant of trying to evolve every day as much as I can and
better yourself,
better myself. So I love butterflies.
Yeah, I like that. That's a cool. I mean, that's cool. Now, whenever you're building this out and like you kind of get it done to where you're like, all right, like we're gonna open.
Yeah.
Like, what is what's your first thought about this in the beginning? Like, are you nervous about doing this?
That's the funniest thing. So like, I felt like it was done.
Yeah.
Like because a lot of people, they get a space and put up racks, maybe put a carpet down, they get the register set up, their finances squared away, open up a business account, and they're good to go. Here, we're doing renovation on a space.
Yeah.
So when we opened, and I had like a friends and family thing basically a year ago where I showed everyone the space. After that party, it was like more of a party gathering than anything. I was like, oh yeah, like we're done. Like that was a success. And I'm like, wow, this is the beginning of it all. Because again, I mean, I'm just being honest about it. Like when I was building it out, this is something I know I'm going to do for the rest of my life. No matter if I'm doing it full time, part time, whatever. I know I'm going to be into it. I love it. It's I think about it 24/7, my passion. But I didn't look at it like it was going to be a full-time retail space.
Yeah.
And that's what's very different about it's a unique situation. Like a lot of people, I feel blessed to have it, but it's definitely a long-term plan. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of times people open up a business and, they're energetic, they're excited about it, they're passionate, but they may be using it as a springboard to do something else. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Or even
stepping
just
stone.
Get more capital to go do something else. But here it's like no matter what, I'm gonna be in vintage my entire life.
Yeah, this is your game. This is what you love.
Yeah, it's also interesting because I dealt a lot more with the streetwear. I've had a lot more shoes. There's probably 4, 8, 12, maybe 20 pairs of shoes in here right now. I want to stay as strictly vintage as I possibly can.
Yeah, and that's why I feel from you as far as like what I see. Like obviously the Zed is dope. Like Zed kills it.
Yeah,
like
shout out Zed, Chase.
Yeah, like
Zach and Chase, good dudes.
They do everything down there, and like all their shit is dope. And like you see the the Supreme shit they got. You see the the big name stuff. The Off-White and everything like that. And like that's dope. Like that's cool that they do that. But like I think it's dope because like you curate a different taste kind of. It's like they have vintage shit, they have a lot of the stuff that you have, but like your main focus is not just like the hype beast shit. It's like more the vintage pieces, and I think that's unique now because like I feel like that the hype beast shit is like that's a come up, like you're gonna be able to like make some money off that and everything, but like this feels like more, I can't say it feels more passionate because obviously Zed is like crazy passionate about what he does, but like I feel like that this is just like more. This is like a little bit harder work.
It's a harder grind. I mean, it's a different grind.
It's
a different grind.
Yeah.
It's in another city. The product would move differently, but this is definitely, it's more actually. So I was just out in California for a week and met a lot of amazing people out there. And the biggest thing I learned is that at the end of the day, if you're passionate about something and you're showing someone that you're passionate about it, people are going to gravitate towards that. And it's just that vibe, the aura that you put off. I mean, you go into some of these, like Round 2 now is a business. It is not a clubhouse. You walk in there, it's not, I mean, this is, I obviously respect them, but it's not what you expect, like seeing like YouTube and stuff like that. I love Pittsburgh. Like I'd much rather go to Zed's than Round 2.
Oh yeah, well I mean
much rather. But the thing is like with the hype and with the Supreme and with sneakers are different, but mainly with the streetwear, the market has changed. So when I originally opened up the shop, I was into Supreme. Mm-hmm. I bought Supreme for myself. Now it's a younger audience, which is fine. Yeah, but it's a business. It's a business, and people are looking at it differently. Like a lot of people that come through asking for Supreme or Bape, they're not even looking through the vintage racks. Yeah. So it's just you
just want the name.
Yeah. Or they're coming for one particular product. I'd post Travis Scott shoes, whatever it may be. They're coming for that shoe, and that's it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll grab a shirt or something like that on the way out, but it's just a different market in I think a lot of other cities it's kind of more together. Yeah. But here people are still trying to kind of understand vintage a little bit more, which I hope I can help with.
Yeah, absolutely. And but it's like you could feel the difference between like, it not being like overrun with like hype beast type shit. And it just being like, you just have a full rack of like, nostalgic pieces rather than just like, a bunch of different Supreme shirts, because like Supreme shirts, like people will buy Supreme just because of the name. Don't even care what the shirt is. But I feel like this is where like, is people are going to be able to be more selective and like cater to what they like and like curate their styles through their different flavors that they like. And it's cool to see that. Like it's cool to see that you're not like diving too deep into like the Supreme shit. Like, yeah, you got some Supreme stuff, but I mean I'd say what 90% of this stuff is 99. Like
once these Supreme tees are like sell, I'm not buying any more Supreme. Yeah. I'm just being honest. Yeah. Like if something comes through a trade or like something works out, I'll take it. But I'm like I used to go every time I was ready for the drop. Yeah, I buy some tees that have in the shop. But I don't like that hustle. It's just I don't appreciate it. I understand money's money at the end of the day, but like I don't really get any satisfaction.
Yeah, to just people just grab it.
It is cool though. Like I have some kids that come through and they love it, and I had a Supreme chair in here. And the kid walked out of the door. It was like around Christmas time. Walked out of the door, came back in with his mom, and he's like smiling at me. And he's like, "We'll take the chair." And he was so like excited about it. Yeah, that was like
that's cool.
It was awesome.
That's definitely cool. But it's also like there's also a gross feeling to me of people. It's almost like ticket resellers.
Yeah.
It's like the people that just go on there and they grab like the North Face Supreme.
They're not passionate about it.
They
at
don't.
all.
Well, they don't care about it that for themselves at all. They just want that, that $1,000 come up real quick off of a jacket, which is cool. Like whatever. If that's your hustle, that's your hustle. But like I feel like that there's more of a. You could feel your passion in this place rather than just like you're not just a dude that's just out there trying to get a quick come up, grabbing shit offline. You know what I mean?
I did this because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do something strictly because I can make a profit.
Absolutely.
There's other ways. I'll literally go out and get another full-time job before I do that. Personally,
well, that's
I
good.
respect everyone else that does it. It's a different hustle. I'm also not in a main drag here, so it's very different.
Yeah.
If I was on McKnight Road, Southside, Bloomfield, you got to cater to the crowd a little bit more and not be as so personal about the product. I'm a little bit more personal about the product here. But also it's just to kind of, again, talking about the kids in the streetwear, like I'll give them Supreme stickers for free.
Yeah.
And
they probably lose their minds.
They freak out. They're like, are you sure? And I'm like, literally, you can take all these. Like it's, and the same thing, like luckily have a lot of good friends in Pittsburgh that are in vintage or in streetwear, and they'll come through, they'll just give me stickers. So what am I going to do? Charge people for,
exactly.
You know what I mean? I'd rather just give it to the people that appreciate them.
Now, whenever you're doing this and like, you said you went to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Now you said you took 200 pounds of stuff out there. First of all, how did you
shout out Southwest Southwest Airlines?
Is that what you did? You took
So they if you fly Southwest, you get 2 check bags for free.
Oh wow.
So those are 50 pounds, and then I stuffed my carry-on, and I had a backpack, and I shipped out some stuff.
Oh wow.
So
now explain what the Rose Bowl is.
Rose Bowl is to me now experiencing it, definitely the most popular flea market in the U.S.
Big?
How big?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that big, but I'm like, I may be tripping a little bit because people are like, it's huge. And I'm like, so it's cool because it's separated on 2 sides. One side, strictly vintage clothing. The other side is that more flea market, home decor type of vibe. But it's different, man. Like, you're used to going to a flea market and going through $10 t-shirt. So I'm going through, number one, go there at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So luckily, if you listen to this, shout out Drew Heffitz, F as in Frank, a real good guy, Godfather of Vintage. I went out there with my good friend Casey, who runs Rare Vintage, and we went out to meet my buddy Jace, who runs PFR Vintage out of California, and really took care of us while we were out there. But Jason and Drew are good friends, so we luckily got to go in with Drew. He's a huge booth at Rose Bowl. You usually, like, you have to be a vendor to get in at 4 o'clock in the morning. You go in with headlamps on, like you're camping. It's pitch black.
Yeah.
And you're going through racks, and you're going through these racks, and you're like, David Bowie's shirt. How much is David Bowie's shirt? $200. How much is this? $300. Like, the prices are boutique prices.
Absolutely.
You can find steals, but you really got to have a good eye. I went there, like, in terms of what I bought at Rose Bowl, again, I bought what I liked because I'm like, hey, worst case scenario, this is a memento from California.
Yeah.
But it's unbelievable. I mean, there's well over 1 million pieces there just in the clothing end. You see, there's wholesalers there that have piles of denim, Carhartt jackets, it's amazing.
Everything.
And
you were selling yourself out there?
Huh? I was. Yeah, we had a rack out there. We had it was small because it was supposed to rain. We were going to have a whole setup.
Yeah.
But because it was supposed to rain, we just kind of figured. I sold to a lot of the shops and local homies and people that I had been following on Instagram.
Yeah.
And traded and stuff while I was out there. If I were to go to California again, I would go with 2 empty bags. And I would bring a trading bag, a selling bag, 2 empty bags, buy stuff, trade stuff, sell a little bit, and just experience it because they have all the product. Like, the stuff that I brought out there will sell better in Pittsburgh because no one has it here. But you go to a shop there, and they're like...
They have it.
Oh, yeah. Or they have something similar.
Yeah, something along the lines.
But it was funny. Like, the Harley stuff, I went to round 2, and I had a 3D emblem. I'm just kind of laughing about this still, but so this is like a really coveted biker tee, and he like looks at it, and he goes, I don't think I have enough money in the register. And I'm like, what is he? It's not like that crazy. It was a good shirt.
Yeah.
But like, they're kind of like overhyped and jaded out there. Like it's an interesting perspective because I don't know if they're trying to hype you up as the seller or whatever it may be, but it's like not everything is $1,000 t-shirt, you know, or whatever it may be. But man, you see everything. Like I will never be hyped to see a piece of clothing. I mean, I will be, but you see a lot.
Yeah, so I bet it's insane out there. Yeah. Just them round 2 videos of him going out there and like grabbing shit and like him finding like a North Face Supreme jacket from like 2000. Yeah, and you're just like, he was like, I picked this up for $50 somewhere, and you're just like, Jesus. Yeah, probably sells for $2,000.
Well, buying power. That's the other thing I realize is these guys, because they're going out there,
build a relationship.
They're not spending $100. They're maybe spending $5,000 with that seller.
Absolutely.
So then you start to break things down.
Yeah.
So it's a different world. Product is different. Product's a lot more high end. Their margin's a little bit slimmer, and everyone is trying to capture it all. Like everyone, you want to be that guy that has all the dope shit. Yeah.
Now, like, what is your goals for the future of the shop?
In a lot of ways, so we're this upcoming. I don't know, when's this podcast going to come out?
This is going to come out...
To put you on the spot over here.
That's all right. I'll do it. So not... This is going to come out on the 27th. The
27th?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 22nd, this upcoming Saturday, reopen the shop. A lot of crazy product from the West Coast. Have kind of different vibes going on here, which is cool. But just continuing to build out the space, I feel like... in a lot of ways, what we're talking about is the past year for me has been a hustle, and I haven't really focused so much on the brand. For a long time prior to doing this, my dream was to do vintage denim, like reconstruct vintage denim, reconstruct military goods, to make different products out of that, and that's still a goal of mine that I haven't put the time into.
Yeah.
So whether it's custom jackets, reworking vintage materials to make different products. That was always a dream of mine that I want to get into.
Yeah.
And then also doing merch for the actual store, but the merch being something that's a little bit more thought out than just doing a t-shirt.
Yeah, rather than just a t-shirt.
Because I've taken so much time.
Yeah.
Doing it. I mean, I respect that, and I want to. I mean, obviously for marketing and for branding, it's important. But I've just focused so much on the vintage, and I think I need to take a step back and focus on what my original goals were with having my own product.
Well, I mean, you have the vintage, you have that aspect of it all pretty much nailed down. It seems like you got the product, the information of the product. You have to, just bring people in here and then start to do what you want to do with it. But I don't know. This is dope. This is a unique experience in here. So the Rose Bowl stuff, did you buy a bunch out there?
I bought a decent amount. I mean, I had been buying product that hadn't been in the shop.
Yeah.
So I had been stashing product strictly for the West Coast to bring out there. So it's a lot of things that people haven't seen that are consistent shoppers here.
Yeah.
So that's cool to me. Like it's West Coast style gear, but not all of it is from the West Coast. Yeah.
Well, that's dope,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, so the 22nd is whenever you got everything planned?
Next Saturday is when I'm going to reopen the shop. It's cool. My partner in the shop, we're going to be working throughout this week to change up some things. So the next time you come in here, things will be organized a little bit differently, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah. Here, before you say this, another thing, we were talking about what got me into this. I don't want to leave this out, but Pittsburgh in general is the only reason, because when I first started buying, that's all I bought
was Pittsburgh stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you got to. Like, that's the original. That
makes sense.
Everyone that's from here, like, I mean, it's the best at the end of the day. Like, it's the bread and butter. I've literally thought about strictly having just Pittsburgh in this entire shop, and I'd be happy. Like, it's everyone. People love it.
It would be dope.
I love
sure.
it. Like, I mean, the Pittsburgh room is cool. Like, that was my little man cave that I always wanted. But it's just one of those things. Like I remember, seeing the Yager hat like for the first time, or things that like these caricature tees, all over print, like Magic Johnson tees. It's this brand's Magic Johnson T-shirt, but they're these crazy all over branded T-shirts that people. I mean, I love the Looney Tunes. It's just like. It's timeless.
Yeah.
Like it's trendy in some ways. It's because it's 90s, but it's timeless.
Yeah.
You can never go wrong with it. And then also just things that are comfortable. Like our number one seller is crew necks.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Because people just want something that's comfortable. We're in Pittsburgh, man.
Well, back then it's also back then the sizes were not catered towards like a different body image.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, if you buy anything new, any designer type shit or anything like that, a 2X is a large.
Right.
Like whenever I worked at that clothing store I worked at, like
where'd you work?
I worked at Threads.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So like I worked there for a few years, and just seeing all the shit that would be through there, and like seeing like how things fit, and like the weird quality of some things and like certain brands, it was just like kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
And for a long time I thought that that's what I wanted to do, was like be involved in that and like sell these clothes and everything. But then I realized that like I don't give a shit about any of the new stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can't find an emotional attachment to it really. And I also think it's like gross how like all these brands are just like doing a bunch of collabs just to like sell shit. Like the Hundreds, like I get it, like that was one of my first favorite brands. It was the Hundreds, but like
Diamond and Hundreds.
Yeah, Diamond and the Hundreds, because those were like the two main things in the beginning. But like I just think it's so like, I think it's super corny to like see like the Hundreds Garfield, and then like next week it's like the Hundreds whatever, and like the Hundreds and this and the Hundreds and that, and like that's cool, but like less is more. Like if you're doing it every week, it kind of is like weak to me.
Why wouldn't you just want the original too? That's my whole thing. Like, if you could buy the Hundreds new whatever, or whatever this brand is, but you could just buy a vintage. If you like Garfield, just buy a vintage Garfield.
I never understood that part, and like I remember like being there and working there and like thinking like, like I just don't like any of this stuff. Like I'm trying to sell this stuff, and it's like me saying like, bro, that's super dope on you. Like that's dope. That's fire.
You don't really feel it.
I just don't care about it. So it was like, it was easier for me to like, step away from it and just like be done with it, because like it wasn't shit that I enjoyed. And, I gravitate more towards stuff like this, but.
Well, the thing is too, is, all of these t-shirts, they're based off of the blanks that are on them. So if you find like based off the tag, so 90s Fruit of the Loom, that's my favorite tag personally, because I know how it fits. If I see an XL or a double XL Fruit of the Loom, I know how it fits on me personally. I'm probably going to know the dimensions unless it's been shrunk up. And that's a big thing. I also recommend everyone out there that's getting into vintage clothing, or just clothing in general, is get your dimensions, your pit to pit dimensions, and your neck to bottom. And that way, if you whether you're shopping on a website or you're asking me a question, someone else a question, you come in the shop and you're asking me what sizes you have, because an XL could fit like a medium, or a medium could fit like an XL. And you never know.
Absolutely.
But again, you're talking about quality based off the tag. So all of the stuff in here, it doesn't matter what, it to a degree matters what brand it is or what team it's for, but a lot of the generic sweatshirts, like whether they're printed on a 2X or they're printed on Fruit of the Loom, or they're Hanes heavyweight or something like that, I know what the feel is of that product based off of the blank that they were printed on. Nowadays, every brand rips out that blank's tag and puts their own brand in it. So you
That's
never really know.
That's a really good point. What the blank is. So it's like they're all fitting different.
And that's the thing that kind of, when you look at designer or some of these streetwear, like so Supreme, they used to use American Apparel for their blanks. Do you remember what happened with Kmart with that situation?
I don't think so.
So for a long time, no one knew what Supreme had used. There was rumors, but no one knew what they used as their blanks.
Didn't Supreme have some shit in Kmart?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So American Apparel went out of business, and they wholesale their stock. Goes to Kmart. Some guy on Reddit finds a Supreme blank. They were supposed to cut out all the tags.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were like, you know what, screw this. We're not cutting out all these tags. So they get sent to Kmart. And so that's where all the blanks were from. That's where they went. And
that's a cool.
People, swooped them up.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go on a tangent there.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
I like all of it. I have no worries about it. So the ending segment that I do with all my guests is called Desert Island Questions. Desert Island Questions is whenever I give each of my guests 3 categories to take with them on a desert island to exhaust until their expulsion. The first category of things to take is 3 things to watch. So 3 movies or TV shows, whatever you want.
Pulp Fiction.
Really?
Number 1.
Really? Number 1?
Probably.
I feel like that's like the most overrated Quentin Tarantino movie. I feel like that I'm the only one that thinks that, but I don't know. I don't know if it's pop culture, like exploiting it, kind of what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like it. It's a good movie. But
it's up there for me. I mean,
that's all right.
Well, when I say that, though, I mean, I also have to loop in. I have 3. Casino.
Ugh. Better than Goodfellas all day.
Yeah, Casino's my favorite. You ever see A Bronx Tale?
Yep.
That's a masterpiece.
That's a great one.
It's going to be all gangster movies, but for me,
that's fine.
Probably. I mean, like a TV show, Seinfeld would probably be mine.
All right. Well, you get 3 choices. Okay, you can't have all these. Hold
on. All right, 3 choices of things to watch. Well, Seinfeld, you get a whole series. That's
I'll give you that whole series.
Yeah, but that's like, you can't do that.
Then pick 3 movies.
One episode. It'd be like 1 episode, right?
If you could,
because if you could do a whole thing, I'd just pick 3 series because that's more to watch.
That's
right. That's fine.
If you want to do that,
all right, I'm gonna go movies, and I'll go Casino,
Pulp Fiction,
and The Godfather.
All right, those are good choices.
I get the whole trilogy though with The Godfather.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you all of them. Okay, so the second category, do you read it all?
Not used to. Much? I mean, I'm gonna if we're talking books, I can tell you with 1 series.
Well, instead of books, just let me. We'll do this instead of books, since you don't read too much. What about 3 Grail pieces?
A vintage.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Polo Snow Beach jacket. Just definitely something that I've always coveted. They retroed it, so it's not as cool to me, but I mean, I'd want the original 90s, the Raekwon wore, famously wore. That's definitely one in terms of an outerwear piece. Probably go with not like 90s stuff. It's crazy. Since opening the shop, I've seen a lot. Like I don't really covet anything anymore. Nirvana, like I don't have a heart-shaped box. A heart-shaped box is all over print.
Yeah.
Nirvana shirt, definitely a Grail piece. I'd put that one in there. So Snow Beach, these are going to be all like hype. These are like hype vintage things. But
that's fine.
It's cool to me. This is just. It's not necessarily like a particular. I mean, I haven't seen it. But it'd be cool to like find like an all over print Kennywood t-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Or an all over print Sandcastle. Like something that I haven't seen.
Almost like the Jackrabbit all the way across there.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, the Steel Phantom.
Thunderbolt. Yeah. Yeah. Something local.
With like the blue and like the yellow. Yeah. That would be dope.
Yeah, something I haven't seen before.
That would be cool. That's a good choice. All right, now 3 things to listen to.
Princess City 2, Wiz Khalifa.
All right.
Mixtape. No Ceilings, Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
College Dropout, Kanye West.
Those have all been used. Those are good answers.
They've been used.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone loves College Dropout. Who doesn't, right?
What's your favorite Kanye album?
Honestly, dude, me and Kanye have a weird relationship. I fucking hate him as a person.
Same.
I really hate him as a person. I think he is a mediocre rapper. I think he is a shit person, and I think that he is a fantastic producer.
Yeah.
But honestly, dude, I get that he's a creative genius. His rap is mediocre to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's dope. I love it. Through the Wire, probably my favorite Kanye song. Family Business is probably tied up there for first. Yeah. But like, honestly,
that's why
dude,
I like College Dropout. It's like before the ego.
Yeah, College Dropout was dope, but like I kind of fell off of the whole 808s and like Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. that ain't for me. I ain't even gonna pretend like it is. But honestly, I loved The Life of Pablo so much.
It's a good one.
Wolves might be one of my favorite songs of all time, and like I said that before, and it's weird, but like I don't know why. I wish it was just like. I kind of wish that it was just like instrumental. I wish that his verse wasn't on there.
Yeah.
And it was just instrumental. And, you know, I don't know. It would have to be College Dropout, I think.
Life After Death would be in there for me as well.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. He's an interesting...
and also, I mean, my favorite rap group of all time is Bone Thugs and Harmony. So East 99, Eternal.
All day.
I should have said that.
That's all right.
I just went off the top of my head real quick.
That's all right. We met them. Me and my brother, I bought, for probably like 4 years in a row, we bought tickets to go see them at Smalls. And, like, it's a good show. You know,
it's the same show.
It's the same show, but the last year I bought him VIP tickets, so like we got to meet all of them and everything.
Tell me your experience first.
Oh, it was the weirdest because they don't like each other. They don't like each other, and they're all in their own. Like, so after it all ends at Mr. Smalls, everyone clears out. The VIPs there, and they're all standing in their own area. And you're like, oh, can we all get a picture together? They're like, nah,
no.
Yeah, they want nothing to do with it.
They shake your hand.
Yeah, they're just there
to
like
shake it or bump you, like fist bump.
I don't know. I can't remember.
They were weird germaphobes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They gave me the.
Yeah, it probably was.
They almost gave me like the shoulder.
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, I would probably too. Sick motherfuckers in there, just like shaking everyone's hand. But like, it was such a bizarre feeling because like, you know, they weren't. They were there to only make a check on the reunion tour.
Yep.
It's like, and you could feel that, but like, it was dope to see Crossroads live, like Notorious Thugs live.
Amazing.
Like when Thugs Cry, like, come on, it's all dope, but it was a bizarre feeling. But we got pictures with all of them. It's just all of us separate though.
Yeah.
But it's sick because like, you know, that was in my wheelhouse. My brother played that shit all the time. Like Crossroads is like Stairway to Heaven of the hip hop world.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
That's good though. Bone Thugs and Harmony. I like that.
The first show I ever saw, a hip hop show, 2007, Wiz opened up for Bone Thugs at Club Gravity in Cheswick.
Really?
It was like the Romp and Roll.
Oh wow!
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
about. So yeah, that was like right, like Young and on his grind. Like,
yeah.
And Wiz opened up, and he did. We were like into him, but we like, you know, crazy Bone Thugs fans.
Yeah.
Wiz was still on the come up. But he did, I'll never forget it. He did Mo Murda. Like, Wiz did it.
Wow.
And everyone was, like, shook. Like, who is this guy? Like, he killed it. Like, he should have been out there with them the whole time. I'll never forget, as a kid, too, I'll never forget it. He came out, and he said, you smell me? And he just reeked. Like, it was just, like, like, the entire place just banged.
Yeah, banging.
It was hysterical. And, but yeah. So, but my experience with them, same exact thing. But I was frustrated, so I collected vintage Bone Thugs and Harmony. I had like 10 at one point, all vintage 90s Art of War t-shirts.
Yeah.
I still have a couple. There's one hanging up there, Art of War. But one I have that I covet is a Crossroads single promotional t-shirt, just made for the Crossroads.
Yeah.
So it's a blue, almost like a felt Bone Thugs logo on the front. The back has all the lyrics for Crossroads, and in an X formation has their names. I've never seen it before. Some guy messaged me on Instagram one time, offered me like $700 for it. Like it's a crazy shirt. You do not see it around. So I wore it to the show.
You had it?
I have it. Yeah, I still have it. So I wore it to the show, and we did the meet and greet.
Yeah.
My best friend Ellie and I did the meet and greet, and I go up to them, and I'm like talking to Crazy Bone and Wish, who went in Flesh. The only one that wasn't there was Busy, and I'm like trying to show them my T-shirt, and I'm just like, I grew up with you guys, like just wanted to ask if you remember this T-shirt. And Lazy was the only one that was paying any attention, and the rest of them could literally not give a shit.
Yeah, they don't.
And I was just like, you know what? This is the last time.
Yeah,
like this is like I did my meet and greet, met them. I've supported them for so long, and they were also kind of tripped me out is they were like hyping up their new mixtapes. And I was like, this is kind of sad.
It's weird.
I'm like, like, I want you guys to be like successful. Like, I love you guys, but why are you not being nicer to me? Like, just literally be genuine, and I would like continue going. But,
exactly.
Like, I mean,
it's weird.
I'm not spending $100 to do a VIP with them again.
Honestly, it was trash because it was through Drusky Entertainment, and I'll say it all day. Drusky Entertainment, we did a VIP, and they were supposed to give us like all this shit,
swag
like
bags or whatever.
Lanyards, like bandanas, and all that stuff. I still never seen none of it.
No,
we paid that money, none of it, and whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. But Bone Thugs and Harmony, they're good. It's just a shame that they weren't more personable.
Yeah. Hey, if Eazy-E was still around, I think it all would have been different.
Yeah, it would all have been a little bit different.
Yeah.
All right. So the second to last, or the third to last question is a death row meal. So you could eat whatever you want from wherever you want. Did you answer all 3 CDs? Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. It's gonna be a mixture of everything.
That's fine.
So my Aunt Francine, makes an amazing. They're like, it's like a twice baked potato, but there's no actual like potato shell.
Oh, that's great.
But it's with cheese and definitely like some heavy cream and bacon, and it's just perfect. It's just unbelievable potatoes. I love just classic flank steak.
Yeah.
My mom makes a good flank steak. Another meat my grandma makes it's called brujol.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a rolled steak breaded on the inside. So there's two meats there, potato.
You guys got it cracking on Sundays whenever you have photos. Like,
bro, I could go like last meal, like, I mean, eggplant parm. This is bad. I got to think for a second.
That's fine.
I'll do like the eggplant parm is almost. I'm not a huge pasta guy.
No,
which is funny. I like a good meat sauce.
Yeah,
but like a marinara, like we have pasta almost every Sunday, every other Sunday. But the portion I put on my plate for that is
real small.
So eggplant parm. I'll go with one meat, flank steak. I'm gonna do like a well-rounded.
Go ahead.
Flank steak. The twice baked cheesy bacon potatoes. And then salad, probably a Caesar salad, extra anchovies. To drink, ginger ale with ice. But like, keep refilling that ginger ale quickly and drink it so it doesn't get too watered down. I think I almost hit. Yeah, vegetable. I like beans, green beans. So my pap, they had a garden in Aspinwall. They lived in Sharpsburg. My entire family, my mom's side grew up in Sharpsburg, but he had a little garden plot, my pap, in Aspinwall, and used to take me over there and pick green beans. And so I remember like eating them off the vine when I was a kid, just raw. But then I just like them like real simply done with olive oil, a little lemon juice,
all right,
salt and pepper.
What about dessert?
Ooh, man, dessert. Oh, I have to. So it's a banana cake. My mom makes. She's been making like my entire life for my birthday. Have it once a year. Has a cream cheese icing on it. It's deadly.
Yeah,
I ate a whole one time, which is gross.
Yeah,
like literally with like a gallon of milk. Like
that sounds
over
really
the course
good.
of a day.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
I like a banana cake. All right. Second to last question is actually not a question. It's a segment. So, as everyone knows, I'm sponsored by Turner's Premium Tea. I have a segment. It's called the Turner's Crate. The Turner's Crate is a crate full of questions that have been submitted by all the previous guests on the podcast. So my guest this week will pick a question and answer it to best of your ability.
If you were forced to move somewhere, where would you move?
Who's that by?
It's by Dan Dobies.
Oh, Dan Dobies, yeah.
Dan Dobies.
He's a grave
episode
digger.
42.
He's a wild episode.
I'll have to listen to that one.
Dude's a grave digger. I wanted to talk to someone who digs graves.
Yeah, I need to listen to that one.
Yeah, he's been doing it for 16 years. He's 30. He's been doing it since he was 14.
Since he was young. Wow.
Since he was 14. He started with his uncle and still doing it. Lives on a cemetery by himself with his big-ass dog.
This is interesting. So at one point in time, my girl and I moved down to Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah?
Right when I graduated college. Amazing town. I would probably live in like the mountainside of North Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina area.
Okay.
And see, it's interesting because I love the city. This is a very difficult question, especially just coming from California. Can't beat the weather there, and this is again like a no expense spared type of situation, right? Can you live if you want to live anywhere in the world?
Paris, whatever.
I'd go to Italy then.
Italy?
I'd go to Italy, yeah. I'd probably go to like Lake Como and just kick it in Lake Como.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, that's
good.
Answer.
All right, so the last question that I ask everyone is if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Can I do two? Family and...
Yeah, if you're going to pick a family member, that's fine, but I want to know like someone that you have no relation to.
I'm just going to skip the family thing because I feel like it's a very I would love to have... So when my pap passed away, I was younger, and he taught me a lot still. Like he had a stroke at one point in time, so he wasn't able to use his hands very much.
How old was he when he passed away? How old were you?
He was older.
How old were you?
I would have been, I think it was my freshman or sophomore year of high school.
Same thing with me. And my pap, like, whenever you're a freshman, you just like you don't spend enough time and you don't realize like what's going on.
Yeah.
Then. And I wish that I would have spent more time and talked to him. And I remember he had cancer and shit like that for a long time. And I remember like thinking like I'd rather go skateboard than go sit at my pap's house.
Right.
And nowadays, I know that deep down he doesn't hold that against me, but it eats at me. It really does. It eats at me. Especially when people come on here and they're always like, I want to talk to my grandfather, my grandmother. And I feel like that's understood.
Yeah.
If it's a loved one, it's understood. That's who I would pick is my grandfather. But I want to know someone who you have no ties to.
Probably Walt Disney.
Ooh, that would be such a good one. Yeah. That would be so good. I remember
reading his biography when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with him for sure because I just want to understand more the creative mind, and also I'd like to talk to him now, and if I could talk to him now and he was able to look down and see what it became.
Yeah, what Disney became.
And if he envisioned that. Like if he knew how big it would become.
That's a really good point. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then sports-wise, Clemente.
Oh, that would be a good answer.
Yeah.
Walt Disney's coolest thing that I've ever heard from him is that he was a chain smoker.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He was a chain smoker, and he was never on camera with a cigarette in his hand. And if he was on camera with a cigarette in his hand, they cropped it out of videos and stuff. Even back then, I don't think that there's a single picture of Walt Disney with a cigarette in his hand, but I'm 99.9% sure that he was a chain smoker.
It's funny because it was so socially acceptable.
Yeah,
at the
but
time.
he didn't want to.
He was almost ahead of his time.
He didn't want to instill it with children.
Kids, yeah,
because they knew it was bad, and he didn't want to instill it with children. And I was like, that fact never left me. Thinking about that shit never left me.
Yeah.
But I appreciate this, dude. I appreciate you taking your time. I think you're a very interesting guy. I think that what you're doing is definitely unique.
I hope I touched upon some things that you appreciated it and weren't expecting.
Absolutely, dude. It's interesting because like we were talking about before, like whenever I think of resellers, I think of Supreme, I think of Off-White, I think of Yeezy, I think of all that shit. And like that's cool, like that's fine, but I like this end of it. I like the vintage shit. I like to see, the old shirts that I had back whenever I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I'm like, holy shit, like I haven't seen this, or see a piece that like sparks that memory that like takes you back to that spot. Like I wish I could remember what this was. It might have been an old Chalkline shirt or something, but it was this dude doing a backwards dunk on a basketball hoop, and it was all shattered.
Not AN1.
It might have been AN1.
AN1 did a bunch of stuff like that.
It might have been AN1, and it was like purple and yellow colors. And
I'll find it.
Yeah, I just remember the vibrant colors, and like I just remember being in my basement and like seeing that and like thinking of that, and just small things like that.
It's what's interesting too is I wonder with the youth, like how they perceive some. Like I know a lot of kids that come through that just think it's cool.
Now, whenever you're talking about youth, you're talking about kids now that are like 17.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have that end. They grew up on what Supreme being popular.
Yeah, that's why I love the Dunks craze right now. Like Dunks are going insane right now. SBs. And
you know who called that?
Who?
Billy Hoyle.
Oh yeah.
He called that 2 years ago. I remember talking to him about it and him saying that, bro, like all this shit's catching on Jordans, everything. He was like, "Yes, guaranteed dunks are happening in 2 years." So he was like, "I'm just buying anyone that I can find."
I mean, that's the origins of sneaker culture.
Yeah.
And also you got to figure, that's collaborations, colorways. I mean, I'm wearing Dunk Highs right now. The reason why I love Dunks is because, number one, the price point.
Yeah.
And the colorways. Like,
yeah.
Jordan 1s are going up in price. I think they're 170 retail now. They used to be 160.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's 160 is still a ton of money for a pair of shoes.
Absolutely.
But Dunks, like, you could, I forget what were they, like $60, $80?
Yeah, they weren't expensive at all.
No.
And now you have ones with like the collabs with that like Strange Love.
They're going for like $500.
Yeah, now they're reselling for $500-$600, and I thought they were dope because like I'm obsessed with pink shit.
Same.
Like I love pink.
I wanted those.
Yeah, I wanted them, and but very rarely do I find myself saying like, man, I want something like that. You know, I want like the new things like that. But my most coveted things, and it's not even because of like the level of the hype, is the Freddy Kruegers.
Dude, I literally should have mentioned that. Those are my number one grail shoes.
I just love horror stuff.
Same.
I don't give a shit if they're like worth a bunch. I just love the horror shit, but unfortunately they're like what, 3 racks?
Maybe even more now.
Yeah, it's insane. But
I feel like 3 racks would be a steal. Like people would be like, steal.
It's like crazy, dude. It's insane shit. Yeah. But I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and kind of educate people. Take a minute and tell us where you could find everything, like Instagram, put it all out.
Yeah, Shop Monarch Studios on Instagram, shopmonarchstudios.co coming soon, the website. I'm going to try and do a good selection of curated product on there. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to go about things, but expect some curated drops of clothing coming on there soon. shopmonarchstudios@gmail.com if you want to shoot me an email or have any questions about upcoming events or things happening. And feel free to shoot me a DM. I think it's just Monarch Studios on Facebook. Post all the hours, all the information is on our Instagram. That's my favorite way of going about things. But feel free to reach out, shoot me a DM if you have any questions, and appreciate you guys listening.
Everyone else that's listening, I'll call you right back across the board. You know where to find me at I'll Call You Right Back on Instagram. That's where all the shit is. Scroll down on your app right now, hit subscribe, give me a 5-star rating and review if you're so kind. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it. I'm working hard with it. Don't be giving me no 1-star review.
Keep it moving.
Yeah, keep it moving. Shout out to Turner's Premium for standing behind your boy. Pittsburgh all day on this podcast, and I appreciate everyone listening. Call you right back.